Okay, now you're all mad at me. Why are you mad? Yeah, because I told you to do a task, but I didn't tell you what exactly I was looking for in you successfully completing that task. So I said, draw a cat, but I didn't say, I want it to be a black cat, I want it to have long whiskers, I want you to see the tail. It's hard for you as students to know what I as your teacher want you to do. Because of that, many times in a writing assignment, your teacher won't just say, write me a 5-page essay. They'll give you some more details about it. And that is called a prompt. So Prompt. Prompt in this sense doesn't mean on time. It means to give a hint. Like you might prompt an actor standing on a stage to know what her lines should be. Similarly, your professors are prompting you what they're expecting in an assignment. So how many of you have ever gotten anything that looks like these that I put on the DocuCam? These short little descriptions of what you're supposed to do. Okay, yeah, looks like everybody. It should be everybody because you've gotten them from me, right? If you open up your course packet, you'll notice that there are many assignments that have these little descriptions on them, these prompts. Sometimes prompts can be very short, so here's one that's just a few lines. Sometimes they're long. I've seen prompts that are 2-3 pages long. Sometimes they'll include how many points, how long it should be. Sometimes they'll include process or tips. Sometimes they'll explain what kind of lens they want you to use or any limitations that they have on it. Things like that. So all of these are different kinds of prompts. And these are real prompts. Some of these are mine, some of these came from other teachers. So in reading these prompts, you have to read very carefully to know what it is that your teacher wants you to do in your writing assignment. So you should all pull a prompt out. You have either mine, or if you want to pull one from another class. What other classes do you have? Yeah, government. Go to government writing prompt. What else do you find a writing prompt? If you have a history one, yeah, pull those all out. We're going to read those really carefully today, and we're going to go through some vocabulary words. I've passed out a glossary for you, a vocabulary list of some key words in assignment prompts. And we're going to go through these terms and explain what they mean, because it might not be clear. As we go through them, look at the prompts you have spread on your desk and look to see if you can find some of these words. Okay, the first one is cite. So that's the verb. The noun would be citation. Do you guys see any use of cite? Okay, yeah. So here in the bibliography, citation is definitely one of them. You'll also notice with a citation, sometimes they won't say citation, they'll just say something like use MLA style or use APA style. That's describing how you should cite. Now citing just means telling us where the information came from. And these styles, MLA, which we'll talk about in this class, and APA and these other styles, they're just different conventions of marking down where your information came from. This is very important in American academic writing. It's better to cite everything than to not cite it and get in trouble. So in American writing, a lot of times we just cite everything there is to cite. The next word is analyze. The noun is analysis. And an analysis is to make sense of something according to a way of thinking, some kind of philosophy or theory. So here's an example. This one says, after watching your assigned film, analyze it according to one of the theories we've discussed in class. So here they're asking for an analysis that uses a specific kind of theory. So you're going to be making a claim. You're going to be reading it through this and coming up with some kind of argument. Now, the reason I'm emphasizing argument and claim is the next one, summarize, won't have a claim. So summarize, the noun is summary. A summary just focuses on taking the most important information from a larger place and then making it short and easy to understand. So you might summarize an article you read. So if a professor wants to make sure that you've read and understood something, they might ask you to summarize a long article into just a couple paragraphs, just the main points. Now, moving on from summarize, do you guys have any of those? Any summaries? Okay. Critique. A critique is not necessarily being mean or criticism, sounds like it's being mean, but it just means to break it down into different parts to consider. So it can be positive and negative. So the example on your sheet is, while the business plan captures the enthusiasm of internet marketing, the supply chain is unrealistic. So it's really thinking in depth about it. Is it good? Does it work? What's good and bad about it? And that's what a critique is. So it is, again, an opinion, but it's an opinion that's supported by what you say there. And it's not just a knee-jerk, yes, I love it, or no, I don't. It's getting really in depth. What are the parts that work? Or what are the parts that don't work? So the next one says reflect. Reflect just means think back on. A reflection is the noun. This can be personal, so your example here, reflect on times when you've been in a new place. And sometimes it just has to do with the material. Reflect on the first years of World War II. So this requires you to think back and come up with what were the most important elements of that. So here is one that has a reflection, right? Reflect on your opinions of the honor code. What instances have you had to draw upon academic honesty, right? So you're thinking back. Now the next one is compare and contrast. So this is pretty clear, right? It's what's similar or different about two different items. Do any of you guys have a compare and contrast? Sometimes they'll just say compare. Yeah, that's right. It doesn't have to be both all the time. But usually, even if they say compare, they're looking for what's similar and what's different. So there's two different forms that I have here. You can notice I have this string of numbers and letters. A1, B1, A2, B2. That just means if you look at, say we're comparing chocolate and vanilla ice cream. Are we going to do chocolate ice cream is sweet? Vanilla ice cream is sweet too. Chocolate ice cream is dark, but vanilla ice cream is light. And so we go by color, looking at both things. Or are we going to say vanilla ice cream is sweet and light colored? Chocolate ice cream is also sweet, but is dark. So that's the two different forms that you can use for compare and contrast. Okay, now that we've gone through some of these vocabulary terms, you're going to be using them yourself. So we're going to be watching a short video, just a silly little YouTube video, but I want you to write your own writing prompt. You're going to be asking one of your classmates to do a paragraph, and you're going to ask them to do one of these things. Summarize, critique, reflect, compare and contrast, any of these terms. And I want you to come up with what the task would be. You could ask them to draw on things from this class if you wanted to. Don't make it too hard, but mostly I want you to make sure that you understand these terms. You probably won't use cite just because we are all using the same source, but especially these vocabulary terms underneath. All right, okay, well let's watch the video then.